Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, my name is Leah and most of my videos are focused on unsolved crimes and mysteries. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about Sebastian Rogers. And before I start this video, I want to say that I might look a little bit tired today because I have actually been up since 2 a.m. I just woke up and I couldn't sleep. And I went to my living room, opened the laptop, and I've been watching interview after interview and read so many comments and listened to podcasts, and wow, the internet is boiling. And what I've seen and heard, I would like to very, very gently, and I'm not judging anyone, I just saw some really hardcore things about this case. And I think it's really important to keep in mind when you do videos or you post comments on this case, you have to remember that Sebastian's family and his loved ones, they're probably watching everything on social media. So I think it's really important to keep that in mind before you post anything. If it's videos or comments, or just think to yourself, would I tell them that to their face? If the answer is no, don't post it. I think it's important to keep hope alive and support Sebastian's family. So I'm asking very gently, think twice about what you're posting. I think it's important we keep hope alive and keep supporting Sebastian's family. I watched a lot of interviews with Sebastian's father, Seth. It's heartbreaking. He is a broken man. He is so worried about his son. He is searching for him everywhere. Everywhere. He's turning every stone. He doesn't care if he have to walk to the moon and back to find his son. He's not giving up. And I think we should support that. And I hope volunteers are still out there searching. I can guarantee you, if I was over there, I would be out there searching. Definitely. I want this boy to be found. I think Sebastian has been through enough. So I'm going to go over the case, and then I'm going to share my thoughts and my opinions of the things that I've heard and seen. And I would really love to know in the comment section down below what you think. But please be gentle. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So if you're ready, let's do this. Sebastian Rogers is a super sweet 15-year-old boy. He lives in Henderson, Tennessee with his mother and stepfather named Katie and Chris Proudfoot. Sebastian also has a biological father named Seth Rogers. They're very, very close and have a very special bond. Seth and Katie have shared physical custody, so Sebastian is with his father every second weekend, and if Sebastian has days off from school, he will also be with his father. Sebastian also has 2 dogs that he loves to the moon and back, and he loves spending time with them. Sebastian doesn't have any social media, but he loves to go on YouTube to watch Minecraft videos and watch videos of other people playing Minecraft. He also plays the game himself, but not online. He plays Minecraft on a Switch. And of course, he also plays with his dogs all the time. Sebastian has high-function autism, which is one of the reasons that he is not allowed to have social media. Sebastian is a happy child and functions really well. The only challenges that he has is that he lacks social skills and reading other people's body language. He really likes his routines and being in control of his environment. Sebastian is also very intelligent and smart, and he goes on the bus every morning to Beach High School, which is about 1 mile from his house. In school, he's in a program called Why We Try, which is a program designed for children with special needs. It simply means that if the mainstream gets 30 questions to answer, Sebastian gets 20 questions and also a little bit extra time to answer them. So children with special needs are being taught exactly the same as the mainstream. He is very well liked in school and also have some friends there. Sebastian's mother works as an installation technician and also takes school classes in business and administration. His stepdad, Chris, he works on a construction site in Memphis, and it seems like he's away from home a lot. And when he's away working, he lives in an RV trailer in an RV park. They seem to be a normal family with a normal family life. But then the most heartbreaking thing happened. On February 25th, Katie took Sebastian out to the bowling alley and out for dinner in a Texas steakhouse. After dinner, they bought some snacks for Sebastian and drove back home. At 9 p.m., Katie told Sebastian to go to bed because the next day was a Monday, so he had to get up early and go to school. Sebastian went to bed, but around 10 p.m., Katie heard a thud from his room, and she told him, "I don't care what you're doing in there, but go to sleep." The next morning, Katie wakes up at 6 a.m. She goes to Sebastian's room to wake him up, and she found his bed empty. She walked around the house for a few minutes to try and find him, but he wasn't there. She called her husband Chris, and at 6:20 they decided to call the police and Seth, Sebastian's father. More than 12 different agencies set out to look for Sebastian. Around 200 searchers was on the grounds, with canine teams, drones, helicopters. The TBI also asked the locals to check their garages, sheds, barns, just to check if Sebastian was there. The search teams covered a 5-mile radius, and Sebastian was not found. The next day, on February 27th, the TBI upgraded the search and put out an Amber Alert for Sebastian. It was getting more and more urgent to find him because it was February and the weather was really, really cold. The Tennessee State Troopers, they drove around in the forest while blasting out Eye of the Tiger. It was Sebastian's favorite song, and they were hoping that song would lure him out from wherever he was hiding. But unfortunately, it didn't work. The search teams had now covered 2,000 miles on foot, and his house had been searched at least 10 times. But there was still no sign of Sebastian. The investigators asked everybody in the neighborhood to check their cameras, and a neighbor came forward with a video that was recorded about 3 a.m. It was pitch black outside because they didn't have any street lights, but there were some strange lights on the video recording that looked like flashlights. But they did come out later and said that they believed it was the trash truck.
In the video, you see Subject 1 with a light source in the lower right-hand corner. Then you see Subject 2 briefly appear and move toward the first before that light source is covered or obscured by bushes. Subject 1, a few seconds later, then moves out of frame. Then, Subject 2 reappears and follows Subject 1 off-screen. It's a short time later, and it's very vague, but then you see one of the subjects moving quickly back through the common area, and that is it.
Not far from their home, there was a pond. They decided to drain that as well in the search for Sebastian, but he wasn't there. A group of business owners put out a $3,500 reward for information that could lead to finding Sebastian. It had been almost a week before Katie and Chris decided to go public about the disappearance of Sebastian. They got a lot of backlash from people criticizing them. People were asking why it took them so long to speak out, why they didn't contact the local news, and so on. They asked the public not to judge them, because they had no idea what they had been through. It had been a roller coaster of emotions, and they really didn't know what to do. On March 4th, when there were still no signs of Sebastian anywhere, law enforcement decided to pull a bit back on the searches and start a real investigation. On March 7th, the search teams were seen going through a landfill in Kentucky where trash from their neighborhood was sent. It was said that they just did that to rule that area out. but again they didn't find anything linking to Sebastian. Chris decided to join different groups on Facebook about missing people, and he was asked if both him and Katie had taken a lie detector test, and he said they did, and both of them passed the test. Chris and Katie are convinced that Sebastian left the house. They just don't understand why and how. He had never left the house before and wandered off on his own. They said he was wearing a black sweatshirt, black sweatpants. He left with no shoes on. He took a keychain flashlight and left his mobile phone behind, and he didn't bring any money as well. I have seen a lot of interviews with Chris and Katie and Seth, and I see a lot of red flags. When I listen and watch to Katie and Chris, I'm not saying that they are guilty, but there's a lot of lies and laughter, and there are stories that don't make any sense. So the first thing that I want to mention is that I saw the first interview that Katie and Chris did with a reporter. And the reporter was actually acting really emotional. And she was asking them, oh my God, how are you coping with this? How are you getting through this? And Katie, she's like, what was that? How are you coping with this? Your son is missing. Your 15-year-old son is missing. He's gone. You have no idea where he is, if he's okay, if something happened to him, if he was kidnapped or whatever. You have no idea. Why are you laughing? And I just saw her like, how are you coping with this? And she put the tissue up, not like tears. She puts it here like she's hiding her face, like she wants to hide that she was laughing. I don't know. Maybe she was nervous. Anyone would probably be nervous because not everybody is on TV being interviewed by a reporter on a daily basis. So maybe she was acting like that because she was nervous. I'm just thinking, in a situation like that, if your child is missing, you wouldn't give a flying about the reporter or people around you. You would be crying your eyes out and be worried sick. But first of all, the tissue she's holding is completely fresh and new. Normally, when I see parents that are worried out of their minds about their children because they're missing, there's tears and snot coming out of their face. Their tissue is like a small ball because they have been crying so much. Katie's tissue is completely fresh and new. There's no snot or tears on it at all. It's like a fresh one. Maybe she was getting ready for the interview and wanted to, I don't know, look nice and clean. I don't know. I just wanted to put it out there. And I don't know, I just think it was weird because if my child was missing, I wouldn't care about anyone around me. I just wanted to find my child. So I wouldn't care what I look like. I wouldn't care about anything. I would be devastated. But she's like, to Chris, I don't understand that. I really don't. Do you think it's because she was nervous, or do you think it's because they already know where he is?
So first, just express, I can't even imagine as a parent what you two are going through. How would you describe the situation right now? How are you coping?
We're on a constant roller coaster ride of helpless and hopeless.
How would you describe the situation right now? How are you coping?
We're We're on a constant roller coaster ride of helpless and hopeless and many other emotions all in one, and it's a never-ending roller coaster. It doesn't stop. It won't stop until he walks through the door.
And then I saw something in the interview as well that I found very disturbing, and it raised a huge, massive red flag for me. And that was when the reporter was talking about, I think she was talking about keeping hope alive. Try to look at his mouth. He's like, yeah. He's gonna walk through that door and will be hugged and loved by close family members. And then Katie says, yeah, he's gonna have so many friends when he comes back home that he don't know what to do with it. Is that just me, or is that just... I think it felt completely off. And the way that Chris is talking and his facial expressions was almost like, yeah, when he comes home. Like he knows that he's not gonna come through that door. He knows he's not coming back.
I know we're about keeping hope alive. I'm sure that's in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Always. He's going to walk through that door. And the street will be flooded again with family and relatives all waiting to hug and love him. And
that boy's going to have more friends than he knows what to do with when he comes home.
Then I saw a comment that Chris made online when a guy asked him straight out, did you and Katie do a polygraph? And Chris says yes, and we both passed the test. But then they go on the Nancy Grace, and she asked them the same question. Did both of you do a polygraph? And Katie says yes, and she passed the test. But Chris says no. What? And he told her that he offered to do a polygraph many, many times, several times, and the police kept telling him that it wasn't necessary, he didn't have to, because he wasn't even in the area when Sebastian went missing. What are you talking about? Don't tell me that the police didn't look into your background, so they would probably have seen all the CPS calls about you and children. And you're telling me they don't think it's necessary to give you a polygraph. BS. BS. But then I saw Nancy Grace talk to Seth, and he told her he wanted to do a polygraph. He had offered to do it many times, but the police already had his location from his mobile phone, so they had confirmation that he was at work. He wasn't in the area when Sebastian went missing. So it wasn't necessary. But that's exactly what Chris said. So is Chris just copying what Seth was saying? Because he said the same. Really weird. But the best one was Nancy asked Chris, if I set up a polygraph for you, would you take it? And he said, yeah. Just name time and place. I will be there. And she did. She went through a lot of people to set up a polygraph, and she even did it close to his work, so it wouldn't be any problem for him. And when everything was ready, and it was like, please take a seat and let's do the polygraph. But then he said, no, TBI says that I'm not allowed to do that. I can't do that now. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? He is definitely hiding something. And I'm just thinking that if there's one person in this world that I would never, ever tell just a teeny weeny lie to, it would definitely be Nancy Grace. She is hardcore. Just her body language and her face when she's asking serious questions is like, yes or no. I would completely freak out. And I actually also heard that she went to the R&V park where Chris and Katie are staying. She went there. Can you imagine that someone knocks on your door, and when you go there, Nancy Grace is standing outside your door? I would desperately be searching for a panic room. I would be like, okay, it was me. Just, nah, I can't do that. I love that woman and I love watching crime stories. She is amazing and she is really, really good at what she does. She gets the truth out there, and I don't know Nancy Grace at all. I wish. I think she's fantastic, but normally she's very gentle and very soft when she asks questions to parents where their children are missing. But to Katie and Chris, she was like pew, 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 pew. It was almost like you could tell that she didn't believe them for a second. And I would trust Nancy Grace with anything. So if she says something is wrong, something is definitely wrong. And I feel the exact same way. Something is very off here. Then we heard Chris say that he had to go back to work in Memphis, which is, I think it was 3.5 hours from Henderson. And first I was like, what are you doing? But I was thinking he needs to make a living. So I kind of understand that he had to go back to work. But then Katie decided to accompany her husband and go with him to Memphis, which is 3.5 hours away from her house. What are you doing? How can you leave? What if someone kidnaps Sebastian and he manages to break free and he runs home? Then he's gonna come home to a locked door and an empty house. His mother is 3 hours away. How is that even possible? How can she even be allowed to leave the state? I'm sorry, but that's disgusting. I think it's disgusting. If my child was missing from my house, if my child went missing, I would be like this, in a chair, just staring at the front door, waiting for my child to come home. And my cell phone, I would be checking it every 5 minutes to check if there was still charge on it, just to check if I had any missed calls or texts. Maybe my phone went on silence without me touching it. I would be paranoid. I wouldn't even go out to buy anything because I would be terrified that maybe my child returns while I'm gone. But she just picks up and leaves. There is so many agencies and volunteers out searching for Sebastian. Seth is out looking for his son. He is doing interviews. His parents have done interviews and they're doing everything they can to encourage more searches. But Chris and Katie, to me it seems like they're running away. My first thought was, they're on the run. They're running. They left the state. This is not normal behavior. It's not normal behavior. The only thing I can think of that would make her leave that house would be if something was done or something happened to Sebastian in the house and she couldn't stand being there. Because I understand that she didn't want to stay there by herself. I get that. But doesn't she have family or friends or someone who could stay with her? I would never, ever leave my house if my child was missing. You can count on that for sure. Doesn't that also indicate that they know that he's not coming back? What the F? I can't believe these people. Then it was said that Sebastian left the house without shoes on. The only thing that's described is that he left with a black sweatshirt, black sweatpants, and no shoes. And then he brought a keychain flashlight. No, he didn't. I don't believe that. Sebastian was a very smart and very intelligent boy. if he was in any kind of trouble or he wanted to go somewhere, I am almost convinced that he would go to his dad's house or he would call his dad to come and pick him up. There is no way I believe that boy would leave, first of all, no shoes on. No, he didn't hear anything about a jacket, so he must have left the house with no jacket on, no shoes, no money, and no mobile phone. Does that sound normal to you? Does that sound like a child that ran away? Why would he run away without shoes on? Seth explained in an interview that when Sebastian was small, by accident, he walked bare feet onto a pile full of fire ants, and they just attacked his feet. And that terrified him, and since then, he refused to go outside without socks and shoes on. So why would he run away without shoes on? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. But I was also thinking, if Chris and Katie did something to Sebastian, wouldn't it be pretty stupid to say that he ran away without shoes on? Because nobody would believe that. No 15-year-old boy who has a trauma about fire ants eating his feet, who refuses to go outside without socks and shoes. Nobody's gonna believe he ran away with no shoes on. I was just thinking, if that was me, and I had to cover up something like that, even if there was proof that all his shoes were there, I would make up a pair of shoes that he was wearing. Definitely. I get that they would keep the phone in the house because the GPS location can be traced. Why would he take the keychain with the flashlight? What's in the keychain? Is there keys to his dad's house or to somewhere else? Or is it only the flashlight in that keychain? I don't know. Sorry, but it doesn't make sense to me at all. Not at all. They have to come up with a better story than that. Nobody is buying it. I'm sorry, but I'm not buying it. I'm not saying that they hurt Sebastian. I'm not saying that they're guilty of anything. But that story it doesn't add up to me. Not at all. Not even a little bit. Then there was a lot of comments made online about a video that was released by a neighbor that showed that it was pitch black outside their house. But there was recorded some really strange lights. And first, everybody thought that it was flashlights. But then they came out and said it was from a trash truck. I'm not really buying that because, first of all, if the lights is on a trash truck, they're stuck. So it would be moving in the same direction all the time. These lights, they're all over the place. I don't believe it's a trash truck. And second of all, this, as far as I remember, those lights were seen about 3 a.m. and it's been confirmed that the trash truck came to the house 5:12 a.m. So it was definitely not the trash truck. I've been looking at this video and tried to figure out what kind of lights it is, and I'm thinking, what if it's a neighbor that just came home from work from a night shift and he had to take his dogs out because they had been alone for hours and they had to go out and pee or do what they have to do, and because it's so pitch black, these dogs are wearing dog collars with LED lights in them. You can get many different colors for dogs. And it would make sense. It almost, I'm not saying I'm right, but it could be that he's holding one of the dogs on a leash. And that's the one on the left side. You can see the LED lights, and on the leash, you can also get a dog leash with the LED lights in them. And the other light over here that's running back and forth, that could be another dog with a dog collar on with lights in them. I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. I really don't know. It is very late to walk your dog, but actually it's not if you just came home from work from like a night shift. It's just an idea. I know it might be a long shot, but if it's not flashlights, it could be possible, in my opinion. And then I saw something online that really, really raised all alarm bells, and it completely freaked me out because, like I said before, when Chris does all those interviews and he's talking in public and making comments on different things, he's acting like he is so calm and relaxed, and he doesn't really look bothered about any of it at all. He is very calm. And I feel like he presents himself like one of the good guys. And the way Chris is talking sometimes about the police, TBI, investigations, and everything, sometimes I feel like that he's actually acting like he's working with the police, like working. Like this is not about him. Um, I don't know. Maybe he's expecting a paycheck soon from the police. I don't know. But he's like, I've been out driving with the police, looking at some of the places that the dogs they hit on, and they took me with them, and I'm like, Chris, that's not a good sign. He's acting like he's almost proud of it. They're taking him there for a reason, and maybe I could be wrong, but maybe they took him there to see his reaction when they took him to those places. Because I think the police, they know a lot more that they are telling the public. What I was shocked about was when his ex-wife, Nina, came forward. I always had a feeling about Chris that something is off about him. So I think we all had that feeling. But when I saw that ex-wife, my jaw hit the floor. I had no clue that it was that bad. And I have to say, I believed most of the things that she said. I was really shocked. Very, very shocked. And she said he was hitting the seat that the baby was on because the baby was crying. It was a newborn baby. He was so angry because the baby was crying and trying to force Nina to get an abortion. And he was acting crazy at the hospital. I got kicked out and CPS was called, and she had to run through an airport because she was terrified that they were going to kidnap her daughter. It's mind-blowing. I was really, really shocked. I knew something was off, but I didn't know it was this bad. It's really bad. Seth also explained that sometimes Sebastian would tell him that he didn't want to go back home to Chris and Katie. And he had no idea what was going on at all. And I'm thinking, Seth explained that Sebastian is his life. He's his heart. When Sebastian smiles, you can't help but smile back to him. And he said, that just melted my heart when he said, when Sebastian starts laughing, it's like the sun coming through the skies. It was really, really sweet. And I honestly believe they are very, very close. And he said that he is very involved with Sebastian and his autism, and he tries to teach him many things in a good way, in a good and healthy way, without violence. But in Chris and Katie's house, he was hit with a belt because he lied. It actually came out that in Chris and Katie's house, they don't care a lot about the autism. They're raising him like a perfectly normal child without any consideration about his autism. And he got punished by Chris for lying. And he got smacked on his butt with a belt. And he said he only did it one time and never again. And it was like about 2 or 3 years ago. But Nancy Grace actually found out that it had only been months earlier that Sebastian was hit on the butt with a belt. And it wasn't only one time. It was more than one time that he had punished him. How humiliating is it for a 15-year-old boy to get spanked in his butt with a belt by his stepfather? I don't think Sebastian was happy in Katie and Chris's house. Not at all. And I was also wondering about, she said she told him to go to bed at 9 o'clock. And she heard a thought come from his room about 10. And she went to bed about midnight. That's 3 times. She didn't go to the bedroom to say goodnight to him. She didn't go to his room to check on him when she heard the thought sound from his room. And when she went to bed, she didn't check on him. She doesn't, in my opinion, she doesn't sound very involved. And yeah, he was 15 years old, but he also had autism. So he would need some extra attention and some extra care. I can tell you, if I heard a loud thought come from my child's room after they were put to bed, I would go straight to the room and check on them. What's going on? Are you okay? But she didn't. Not at all. Not even when she went to bed herself did she check on him. You can't expect other people to do what you would have done. But I'm just like, he's autistic, he needs special care, he needs extra attention. So why not put him to bed? And why not go check on him when you hear big noises come from his room an hour after he was put to bed? And it wouldn't hurt you to just open the door and check on him before you went to bed. I'm just saying, I would have checked. I would have walked him to bed, make sure that he changed into his PJs. I would have said goodnight to him. If there was loud noises coming from his room an hour after I put him to bed, I would go there to check on him. And most definitely, I would check on him before I went to bed myself. But she didn't. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just find it a little bit cold, maybe. I don't know what to call it. I don't know. Check on your child. Especially if weird noises are coming from their room. It doesn't hurt. It takes 10 seconds. Just open the door, say, are you okay? Maybe I'm just overprotective or over-loving. But I would definitely check. I have to say that everybody is innocent until they're proven guilty. But I have to say that if Katie or Chris or both of them, they did something very bad, I think I would agree with what most people are saying, that he is somewhere between Henderson and Memphis. I know it's a 3.5-hour drive. And to say Sebastian is between Henderson and Memphis, that's a very long stretch. But I believe that the location that Sebastian is in is a location that's well known to Chris or Katie. It's an area that's familiar to them, and they feel safe and comfortable there, that they won't be disturbed by anyone. It's an area that they know. Maybe they went there on camping or like a fishing trip or rented a summer house or have friends over there. I believe the area between Memphis and Henderson, it's a location that's very well known to them. So I think if it's true that he is between those two locations, I would definitely talk to friends and family and ask them if Katie and Chris have any relation to anywhere between those two locations. Camping, fishing, renting a summer house, maybe they have friends there, something that made them familiar with the area. That's what I think. I have heard about everything from A to Z about what could have happened to Sebastian and where he might be. I've heard everything from, yeah, the investigators have been to their house more than 10 times, but what if they have a secret room in the house where they're keeping him? Then I heard someone say they believe he is in an underground bunker because Katie is related to the military. So this person believes that they're keeping him down there in a bunker. And I have heard so many things. I also heard that the reason he didn't have shoes on is probably because they locked him out of the house with no jacket and no shoes on as a punishment. And they wouldn't let him back in. It's just, the theories are just building and building and building and building. And I'm thinking, maybe it's time to take a deep breath and pull the brakes a little bit about the theories and try to keep hope alive. And let's hope and pray that Sebastian will be found safe and sound and he can come back home. But not to Chris and Katie. Sebastian needs to be found safe and sound, and he needs to go direct to his father's house where he is safe and loved. He have really good routines there. His dad is very loving and teaching him everything in a good, healthy way, and he's safe there and loved. So let's keep hope alive, and I truly, truly hope and pray. I really, really hope that Sebastian will be found safe and sound. My heart really goes out to Seth and the grandparents. It's heartbreaking, and I am almost holding my breath until they find him. I really, really hope TBI is going to do a polygraph on Chris, because something is wrong here. Something is very wrong. And my honest opinion is that if Chris and Katie didn't do something to Sebastian, then they know who did. They know something. They need to start talking, because a 15-year-old boy's life is at stake, and for every hour that passes by, the more dangerous it becomes for Sebastian. So please keep the faith and keep the hope alive, and let's hope and pray that he returns safely. So that's it for today's video. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Please let me know in the comment section down below what you think. And when you go to bed tonight, please say an extra prayer for Sebastian. My heart truly goes out to Seth and the grandparents. So that's it for today's video. Until the next one, take care and stay safe. Bye!